Karoline Leavitt coming out and talking with Scott Bessent, who by the way, I keep seeing my joke about his mortuary face makeup stuff showing up everywhere. I was very proud of that fact this week. This is him walking out explaining how this was not a bluff. These are going to happen. There's not going to be a put. They're not second guessing this. This is going to happen. They go into effect on midnight and fuck you. And then the market started to go down again. And they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what? On second thought. And then they all had to come out and go, see, we meant to do this. This is like when a cat falls off a fucking bookshelf.
Is that as the U.S. announced a tariff wall last week, many of those goods have already started flooding into Europe.
So as you see it now.
Also, I don't know what the fuck he's like. Our goods are all of a sudden flooding into Europe. Like Europe, when we announced these tariffs, they just started buying a bunch of shit. Garbage. Nonsense. Gibberish. Hornswoggle. Hooey.
Trade war is
Baldered and malarkey, I think is the key phrase.
China versus the rest of the world.
Well, I'm not calling it a trade war, but
that's what it is.
I'm saying that China has escalated, and President Trump responded very...
He escalated too. After he escalated, they escalated, and then he escalated again, and now they've escalated again.
To that, and we are going to work on a solution with our trading partners.
And if I could just, excuse me,
Yeah, Carolyn, please jump in because apparently this dude is such a raging pussy that nobody listens to him. So please show us all how you show up at the White House every morning. Well, you'll see.
Me recall, if I could just add to what the secretary said, many of you.
Wait, before you do that, before you add to it, before we see you, can I do one thing? Let's see. Yeah. Here we go. Hold on.
The media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here.
Nice jacket, by the way. Hold on. Let's see if I can put this on here. Where's it go? Yeah. Yeah, right. That's exactly what I thought too. Like, what did he just leave it draped over a chair when he jumped out a fucking window?
Tried to say that the rest of the...
Your coat! Yes, it is my coat. It's on fire! Fire! Oh, fire!
Would be moved closer to China when in fact we've seen the opposite effect. The entire world is calling the United States of America, not China, because they need our markets, they need our consumers, and they need...
Sorry, they weren't calling China anyways? They don't need to. China reaches out and they are buying a ton of stuff from China.
President in the Oval Office to talk to them. And that's
why? Why does Europe need Trump to talk to him to have them not buy Chinese shit? You do realize that the tariffs he puts on them don't affect the rest of the world. That the rest of the world suddenly gets a break on stuff that American consumers and American businesses, whoever bought shit from China, they're paying a much higher price. So Europeans who might buy, like, and I'll show you. Well, fuck me. Here we go. Let's look at, because I don't even think Trump fucking can grasp what actually gets bought and sold. Let's see if I can go to, and so you go to like, what should we look into? Okay, plastic machine forming. Okay. Yeah. Here you go. This is what people buy from China in these situations. Okay. Foam plastic dish plate making machine. $3,300, whatever, unless you buy it in the United States, in which case it's double that right now, whatever this price is. Plastic molding injection machine. Mini small vacuum forming machine for 3D advertising, light box acrylic, $1,100 to $3,300, depending on if you buy one or multiples. The Europeans get to buy these things, whatever they are, and this is just random machinery I just picked out of a hat. They get to buy these machines for production at that cost. Americans will pay twice as much. So if they want to start a little factory in the United States and they don't want to build the fucking machines from scratch themselves by banging fucking tin together, they're going to have to buy these machines from China, which, by the way, were a fucking steal a couple of months ago. Thanks, Joe Biden. And then Trump came in and just fucked it up for everybody. They were having a liquidation fucking sale. Also, the idea that China's going to all of a sudden start buying shit from us when they have nowhere near the economy that they said they did, and nowhere near the population people say they do, you're forcing them into a situation where if you're like, you have to buy this amount of shit. Well, we can't. Why? You're being mean to us. No, we're not. We just don't have as many people as we said. We don't have the market for it. It's been a lie.
Why more than 75 countries have called, because the United States of America is the best place in the world to do business. And as the president has shown great courage, as the secretary has said, in choosing to retaliate against China.
Courage? Is that what he calls it when he's talking to race car drivers? By the way. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Quit. Sorry. I'm on the wrong screen. Damn it.
Even higher. Elena, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Secretary Bessent.
Yeah, by the way, now she's picking questions for Bessent so that he doesn't have to take any tough ones, because they don't trust Bessent to give the right answer.
Explain more of the decision-making on what feels like a reversal here. I mean, just these went into effect less than 15 hours ago, these tariffs. Why the pause now? What led to that?
No.
The president is a giant raging pussy, and he was scared to death into his corner by his rich friends who started blowing up his fucking phone and going, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's what happened.
Again, President Trump created maximum negotiating leverage for himself.
No, he didn't. He fucked our allies. We don't have leverage in this. The Chinese just ratcheted their shit up. They're basically just saying, fuck you.
And which tariffs went into effect 15 hours ago? The ones that we have lowered went into effect a week ago. They were announced a week ago.
Yeah, everything was announced a week ago. And last night was the date, stupid.
We have just been overwhelmed by the response from mostly our allies who want to come and negotiate in good faith. So we...
Right. Because they're our allies. Nobody does trade with their enemies, fuckhead.
Expecting them to come with their best deal. As I said a week ago today, don't retaliate, hold your ground, let's see what happens. And China, they kept escalating, and now they have 125% tariffs that will be effective immediately.
Mr. Secretary.
Right. And that will mean prices going up at Walmart, at Target, at Kmart. There are a few of them left out there. Might surprise you. So, of course, prices are going to go up for the working poor, primarily, at 125% for the foreseeable future.
Go ahead.
Mr. Secretary, thanks so much for doing this. The 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs, is that because of the whiplash that we've been seeing across the financial markets? How much was, what we saw in the stock markets, a part of this decision?
No, it's because because of the large number of inbounds. We've had more than 75 countries contact us, and I imagine after today.
Yeah, but they weren't contacting you going, what a great ploy. Thanks so much. We can't wait to sit down. We obviously know you're fucking with us. This is really just so you can, you can really give China what for. We'll see you Wednesday. What do you think? They're calling because they're like, what the fuck is the matter with you?
More. So it is just a processing problem. A
processing problem. So it's a 90-day pause, not because everybody was getting yippy and the bond market was freaking the fuck out and getting weak-kneed. It's because they got so many phone calls last week that they had to do a pause after they went into effect last night at midnight instead of before, because they've got to field all these phone calls, which are basically, if you listen to the message, like, hey, fuck you, in like 75 different languages. Well, 60.
One of these solutions is going to be bespoke. It is going to take
Bespoke. Adorable. Hand-whittled.
time, and President Trump wants to be personally involved. So that
Yeah, that 90 days will be enough. That's fine. 90 days. That'll cover it. That's all you need. 75 countries, 9 days, bespoke trade agreements individually, unilaterally with every single one of those countries, with details. And Trump wants to micromanage all the deals. 90 days, fucking nailed. It's not like he golfs all the fucking time and dangles with a bunch of fucking race car drivers on the lawn for a little while going, hey, you got great genes. I bet the Nazis were great car drivers. Nobody says that. It's not popular. You get canceled if you say that.
we're getting the 90-day pause.
90 days, 75 different countries, unilateral trade agreements with each of them. Please fuck off.
Secretary, there was a tweet that you and Secretary Letnick were in the Oval Office with the president talking about this. Can you talk about what that conversation was like and what you guys said to one another?
Yeah. And are you combing your hair in a certain way to cover the bump on your head? Sorry, I can't do this without her. That's driving me crazy. So stupid.
Look, it's all the president's decision, and
Right, it's not my fault. I didn't do it, okay? I didn't even know I was even supposed to be working this weekend. I was getting the fuck out of here.
the president had a level in mind to raise the China tariffs, and
Did he? Was it 125%? That was the level he had in mind? Why didn't he go straight there, asshole?
he had the 3-month, essentially the 3-month pause in mind, and
I just had a 3-month pause in mind. That's what he was like thinking about this pause while Elon Musk and everybody else was screaming at him on Sunday, ruining his fucking golf game.
we were discussing the exact wording.
The exact wording. That's why he had to let him go into effect last night at midnight and tell everybody they were perfect. They're not going anywhere and make everybody else lie for him because he was working on the perfect wording. He doesn't work on the fucking perfect wording for anything, you asshole.
Sorry?
Sorry, real quick. Perfect wording, is it? He was working on perfect wording. This guy.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
That guy was working really hard on the perfect wording.
Free health care for illegal... look. Immortal principles.
Right, like that, you mean?
Our army manned the airports. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
So you wanted to get the wording right. Okay, thanks. Thanks, man. Thanks. Totally nailed it. Right.
It's the president's decision.
It's the president's decision. It was the president's decision to wait until today. And again, as I've said in the past, no one creates leverage for himself like President Trump.
Who does he have leverage with? He's just fucking our allies for no particular reason. He spent 3 days basically threatening Israel for no fucking reason right before Netanyahu rolls up because he's not aware that every country includes Israel. Like, so he was like, oh, oops. And then today he just like, you know what? Whatever. We'll see. I don't know. I don't back down, but I'm backing down because everybody around me was fucking screaming in my ear. Got annoying. They were getting yippy.
Shelby, go ahead.
Secretary, what does the president want to...
The president seems primarily, I think, worried about the kidney, myself, if I do say so. The
kidney has a very special place in the heart.
God. Okay. Sorry. We had everything's fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. This is fine.
By this, I think it's July 9th deadline to keep things paused. Is it just trade barriers coming down, or is it more than that?
Well, these are trade negotiations, but if countries want to come and offer other things, I talked about yesterday that we are thinking about a big LNG project in Alaska that...
You're thinking about it? Sorry. So they've got to make decisions about trade they're doing this month, next month, through fucking Christmas because of an LNG project you're thinking about fucking doing? You're thinking about it? Why don't you scare me up a fucking donut with some sprinkles on it and a cup of coffee while you're thinking?
Korea, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan are interested in financing and taking a substantial portion of the offtake. But
of the offtake? I love technical lingo, mumbo jimbo.
in essence, that is trade because it will...
In essence, that is trade. How the fuck? Seriously, how do these assholes not act like the monks in fucking Holy Grail? Die Jesu Domine, dona eis requiem. Die Jesu Domine, dona eis requiem. I don't know how you, like, I need a special outfit for this. I can't deal with both of these assholes without something, donning my, it's time for a superhero. America's one and only. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, man. Hey, man, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck this and fuck you, buddy. Fuck you. Fuck this. Fuck that. Fuck him. Fuck her. Fuck this. Okay? You fucking moron. Fuck you. My job is done here. I must move along. He's not the hero we need, but he's the hero we deserve. Sorry. I reach my limits sometimes, and it's super fucking fun.
Decrease the trade deficit that we have with those countries. So everything's on the table.
Jesus Christ. Dude, everything's under the table with these assholes.
Raquel, go ahead.
A clarification.
Raquel, ask the question, because he's not good with the hard ones. Okay? Okay, Irma Gerd, you're...
The 10% on the pause. What happened to those countries who just had 10% baseline tariffs, like Brazil and others? Are they still going to have this 90-day pause? Because you were saying that there will be a tariff of 10% for others. So what happened to those who just had a 10%?
Yeah, that's going to remain.
And do you call this an embargo to China?
Pardon?
He goes, do you call this an embargo to China? Because technically, if it's over 100% tariff on something, it's kind of like just an impossibility. The embargo would be, though, that you charge other places tariffs. So the idea is that there's a trade embargo unilaterally between us and them, I guess. And the USMCA, pushes them out of certain stuff that comes into the United States. So it's like a mini embargo.
Call this an embargo to China, a trade embargo?
I'm not sure what you mean by the word embargo.
120.
Well, it's like a Winnebago after it's left.
Tariffs like those, and then impose 84%. Isn't this an embargo?
Well, it's not. It's China's decision that we have the deficit with them. They sell us almost 5 times what we sell them. So again, I think it's an own goal by China.
Mr. Secretary. Meredith.
Mr. Secretary.
Do you notice how Karoline Leavitt is picking the questions for Bessent? Remember all that shit about how Biden, as president of the United States, with a lot of shit on his plate, had a list of who he was going to take questions from, and they organized it based on priority and worthwhile questions and the like. So it basically got to everybody, and he even got to fucking Ducey and all those assholes. They can't even manage this shit. They just got fucking Karoline Leavitt standing off on the side going, not you. You got an easy one for him? Okay, cool.
Does this signal that you're confident that you're going to be able to strike a satisfactory deal with all these 75 nations that have approached you?
It signals that President Trump cares about trade.
It signals that he cares about trade enough to put all these trade barriers on at midnight and then go, oh, fuck, and do it the day after instead of calling them off the day of and putting a temporary pause on before they go into effect so that they're in effect for hours randomly and then deciding to walk it back because his executive orders don't mean shit.
That we want to negotiate in good faith. And as I said, each one of these is going to be a separate bespoke negotiation.
These bespoke negotiations, white glove, if you will.
So we are confident that having seen the other side of where this could go, and it was like I said
in the shitter
last week, the market didn't understand those were maximum levels.
No. You were saying maximum level. Navarro was out saying that's the starting point. They go up from there. And you didn't reach the maximum level. Even in this negotiation, there's no talking them down from the 10%. As soon as that factors in, prices are going to go up. Even if you get rid of the rest of them, there's a 10% price hike on all this shit coming into the... Let's just say half of them. Let's say the companies in those countries absorb half of those costs. And the rest of the fucking, I guess, I don't know, Kmart, Target, whoever it is, absorbs a quarter of it. 2 to 5%, 2%, 2.5%. It's still a 2.5% like price increase on top of regular inflation, which hasn't gone away.
Countries can think about those levels as they come to us to bring down their tariffs, their non-tariff trade barriers. We're going to discuss.
There's no markers you can give them that says that if you do this, they go away. They go to zero with their tariffs and you're like, we still don't like this, what you're doing. Well, we do it to protect our environment. We do it to protect our people. We do it to protect our food supply. We're not going to take those away. Well, then we're going to 30% tariffs. That's what they got from this asshole. And that's what they're going to get from Trump if he's sitting on these meetings.
Subsidy.
And more likely, that this whole thing, like he wants to be involved, is a bunch of shit. And he's not going to be he's been golfing and fucking, getting Laura Loomered on, Air Force One while these guys do the actual work of going, you know what, fuck it, France, go ahead. We're fine. This is not a big deal.
Labor and industry.
Secretary, as far as you, will the pause also apply to the sectoral tariffs that the president has announced, pharma, lumber, anything else?
No, it's on the reciprocal.
So those will still be coming here soon, right? Mr. Secretary.
Did you see that, by the way? Lumber, pharmaceuticals, that kind of stuff, those are still going to be at 30, 35, 40%. The 10%, the pause to 10% on these other countries is just part of this thing, the ones that went into effect last night. But the rest of it, Jesus Christ, so stupid.
Andrea, go ahead.
Mr. Secretary, so I want to ask you about what you're doing here. So the market...
I want to ask you what you're doing here. What the fuck?
Reacting crazily, right?
I haven't seen it.
Do you think that this move is going to sort of change and calm down the market reaction?
What?
Do you think the markets have tanked, right? There's been a lot of volatility in the market, not just in terms of stock markets, but also in terms of bonds. So will this move, in your mind, do you anticipate that this is going to calm the markets down?
Well, I think what we've seen, I think the willingness by more than 75 countries to come and negotiate, I think now...
Lie. Also, zero proof that that's what's happening. This is just an assertion by them that 70... They're trying to make an excuse for specifically why Trump did this. And they're going, because all these countries, we can't even handle the incoming phone calls. That's why he had to stop it. Not because Bessent and Nutlick and Musk were all going, dude, now stop it or we're fucked.
Market understands that everything they saw last Wednesday was a ceiling, and now we have a 10%.
Also a lie.
The temporary floor, and I think the market in my 35 years in the market, I always wanted certainty, so I think we've got more certainty.
But Mr. Secretary,
Maggie, go ahead.
Mr. Secretary, why do people assume this is the last word? The president began this morning saying, be cool. 5 hours later, he announces a new policy. Why will investors in the market assume that this is it?
Because, again, as I said, we've given 90 days, and the only certainty we can provide is that the U.S. is going to negotiate in good faith. And
Right, but no. First of all, he hasn't been negotiating in good faith from the start. He's been picking fights with allies, which is not a good faith place to start, period. So she's right. How do we know that this isn't temporary too, and we're not just going to do another fucking whipsaw?
Assume that our allies will too. And in terms of certainty, we will see what China does. But what I'm certain of is that what China is doing will affect their economy much.
Okay. What he's certain of is that China's going to keep doing what they're doing.
Than it will ours, because they have an export-driven, flood the world with cheap export models, and the rest of the world now understands, because when we put up our tariff wall, those exports were already flowing to the rest of the G7 and to the global south.
And so all they have to do is cut them by a little bit, and they can get even more goods out there and replace any goods that the U.S. might have been putting out there in the interim, building supply lines and all that kind of stuff throughout South America, Africa, the Middle East, Asia.
Mr. Secretary, how much of this decision was driven by the bond market cratering overnight? What is happening with bonds? China?
She said, I don't know if you guys can hear some of these questions, so pardon me if I'm reiterating them. How much of this was triggered by the bond market cratering overnight?
Selling their bonds?
I have nothing that says that, and we actually had quite a good 10-year auction today, and all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday.
To please don't do this. Yes, we know. We know you guys sat around with him on Sunday, called fucking everybody, and they were all telling him to stop. And then he waited because he couldn't, and then he had to because everybody was like, oh, yep, yeah, that's exactly what we said it was going to do. It's taking a shit.
And this was his strategy all along, and that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad
a trade war.
They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors.
What? If he goads them into it, then he's the bad actor. They're just responding to him. He gave China the gift of making it look like we are the aggressor in this trade war.
And we are willing to,
I mean, it's just a pile of shit. This is so lame.
Cooperate with our allies and with our trade.
I'm sorry. Trump says the allies are worse than the opponents. So at some point, we're going to be worse to them than we were with China.
Partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
And Europe retaliated, so did Canada, and you still did a temporary pause for 90 days anyways. So that was bullshit.
There's a Politico article saying that the countries weren't getting called back.
These negotiations with these 75 countries.
There's a Politico article saying the countries weren't getting called back. Yeah, you don't have the staff to do it. You don't have staff to fucking field the phone calls via the State Department, much less have enough trade representatives to be able to do bespoke agreements, more than one a day for the next 3 months.
How long will that take? Will it be a matter of weeks? Will it be a matter of months? Do you expect financial markets to be stable during that time period?
Well, we've started with a 90-day pause, and we will see if more countries turn up, what will happen. But we have a meeting with Vietnam today. And
why did we even need... Vietnam was our friend. Vietnam doesn't buy as much shit from us as we buy from them because they're a tiny, poor country comparatively. They couldn't possibly have parity with us on the amount of shit that we buy from them that they buy from us. This is not fucking possible. Never will be possible. Not going to be possible. Just silly. The only way you make it possible is you make us buy less shit from there, which is what that tariff equation that he put up with, that had nothing to do with trade. It had everything to do with raising tariffs so much that the American consumer taps out, because that's what they want. They want the American consumer to stop buying shit so that they can say to Jerome Powell, it's time to lower interest rates. That's why don't buy anything. Those holidays we did where everybody was trying to do that stuff were totally ineffective and are, I believe, they contraindicate to what we were trying to do, because the slowing down of consumer demand is what they use as a cue to try and tell the Fed to lower interest rates. If anything, we should resiliently just refuse to stop buying shit until they're like, fuck, the interest rates have to go up. Inflation's going up because of demand.
We have one.
Obviously, that's not the plan, but you get what I'm saying.
Largest trade deficits with them, so I'm hoping it will move in a good direction. I was at the Japanese embassy.
Why? All right, again, these dumb motherfuckers. Why the fuck would we ever expect that Vietnam or any country like it could buy enough shit from us to make it even with the shit we buy from them at the size of our economy versus the size of their economy? It's just dumb. If the only way you make that happen again is to wreck the consumer base of the United States so we can't possibly buy more stuff. We're the largest economy in the world. We're going to buy more from everybody else than they could buy from us always.
House last night for the Cherry Blossom Festival, which was quite festive. And
was it quite festive? It was festive. You know. Yeah. It was festive. Well, I was walking around the party with the Japanese ambassador going, oh, it's festive, festive. That was the word that kept coming to my mind. It's an old-fashioned word, but I think it still works, like groceries and festive.
He and I had a good chat. They are going to send a deal team over, so we'll see. These are
a deal team? Real quick, make sure that their deal team isn't running across the rooftops in full black outfits.
Complicated negotiations. These are imbalances that have taken decades to create.
Yes, our economy has grown stronger and stronger and stronger, except when there's a Republican in office, in spite of itself, for decades. And that's why we have the biggest buying power in the world. You know, that thing that Trump says that gives him leverage? The reason we have that is,
And
deal team.
I think having
deal team dicks.
The maximum level that Donald Trump is willing to go to, President Trump has created this negotiating leverage.
It's not the maximum level. He went to 125% with China just for retaliating. If this shit doesn't work out, he's going to ratchet it up, especially if he's actually involved, which I still don't think he's going to be, because I think this is bullshit.
Excuse me, everybody.
Oh, we got a hype train. It's been a while. Twitch, come on now. Hype train.
The secretary is obviously a very busy man.
Yes, he's obviously got a lot of phone calls. The phones are, you can hear them in the background. They're just ringing off the fucking hook. Oh my God, when are we going to have all these phone calls, The phones are ringing off the hook there, My guy, you guys.
He said he's had more than 75 countries that the trade team has to respond to. I'd just like to end with this. For decades, Republicans and Democrats have said that these unfair trade practices are ripping off the American people.
No, they haven't. No. Largely what they've said is that moving factories overseas have been the primary belief around that, even though manufacturing in the United States has doubled since the 90s. Automation has gotten rid of most of those jobs, and the ones that still have to be done by hand are being done at such a low wage rate that if you move them to the United States, whatever you're buying from there would be extraordinarily expensive. You'd have a $3,000 iPhone and nobody'd be able to fucking afford it, and that was the trade-off for a long time. Dumb. Nobody was saying, they're ripping us off with trade. We have one-to-one situations with some countries. Nobody was saying, fucking Europe, until this asshole came along. It's weird. It's bizarre. It's so weird. We have expected J.D. Vance to say it.
Ripping off our country, but nobody.
But, don't even start with, but what? But this. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna need to, like, if she's gonna wear that shit.
Done anything.
She's gonna wear that shit to work every week. I'm gonna need to put that as a sample.
address it. We finally have a president here at the White House who is playing the long game, who is doing what is right for the American worker and our industries here at home, and he has put together a fantastic team in Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lustnick, the entire trade team who...
Lustnick? Really? Has he been a little grabby? He's a little grabby, is he? Lustnick? Is it you just trying not to say Nutlick? It's hard, isn't it? It's hard not to call him Nutlick to his face. Right? You go, Mr. Nutlick, God darn.
focusing on negotiating these good deals to put the American workers first, and we're going to get to work to do.
Yeah, you're not. How long? How long is it going to take to build one factory from any of these countries? 3 years, 5 years, and when they're built, will they have a single human being working in them? No.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting me out of there. I was worried I was going to say festive again. I just dicked it up. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking.